I still remember one of my patients, Mr. Johnson, a retired teacher in his late 60s. He came to see me after a minor stroke. What surprised him the most wasn't the stroke itself, but what triggered it. He told me, "Doctor, I thought I was doing everything right. I don't smoke, I eat fairly healthy, and I even go for walks every morning. But at night, I've always slept in my recliner chair because it felt more comfortable for my back." That small detail, something he thought was harmless, ended up putting pressure on his circulation, leading to blood pooling in his legs, and eventually a clot traveled to his brain. It wasn't the food, it wasn't his exercise, it was simply how he slept. When he told me his story, I couldn't help but think, how many other people over 60 are unknowingly risking their brain health every single night just because of the way they sleep? Sometimes it's not the big things, like diet or medication, that put us in danger. It's the quiet, everyday habits we don't even think about. Have you ever woken up with a stiff neck, numb arms, or feeling strangely tired even after a full night's rest? Have you ever felt that way? If you're over 60, these signs could be your body's way of warning you that something as simple as your sleeping position is putting stress on your brain and blood vessels. And the truth is, by making small changes, you can protect not only your memory and mobility, but also your independence. All right, let's talk about one of the most common bedtime sins we all commit. And yes, I'm guilty of it too. Picture this. It's Saturday night. You've just had a big dinner, maybe steak, mashed potatoes, and of course that extra slice of cheesecake you swore you wouldn't eat. You feel warm, satisfied, maybe even a little sleepy. So what do? You head straight to bed. Now let's be honest, we've all done this at some point. The problem isn't the pizza or the glass of wine. It's when we take it to bed with us. Here's the science, but in simple terms. Think of your stomach like a busy restaurant kitchen. When you eat a big meal, the kitchen staff goes into overdrive. Lights on, stoves blazing, everyone rushing to process that food. At the same time, your heart and blood vessels are also working harder to pump blood. Watch something light on TV, but don't flop onto the couch and pass out. Watch the drinks. Alcohol may feel like a sleep aid, but it's actually a sleep disruptor. It messes with your heart rhythm and keeps your brain from reaching deep rest. So if you want a glass of wine, enjoy it earlier with dinner, not right before bed. Listen to your body. If you wake up feeling heavy, sweaty, or with a pounding heart, that's your body telling you, hey, last night's routine didn't work for me. Pay attention. Those little signs are red flags. And let's sprinkle in a bit of humor, because health talk doesn't have to be boring. I sometimes tell my patients, your stomach isn't Amazon Prime. It can't deliver digestion instantly in 2 hours or less. Or, that midnight burrito may taste heavenly, but your arteries are not thanking you the next morning. Here's the takeaway. Sleep should be the time your body restores itself, not battles your dinner. By simply adjusting when you eat and drink, you can lower your risk of stroke, protect your heart, and still enjoy that cheesecake. Just not in bed, all right? So, before you hit the pillow tonight, ask yourself, is my body ready for rest or still busy running the kitchen? That one small check-in could make all the difference. Let's move on to another common sleeping habit that sounds cozy, but actually isn't your friend. Sleeping on your right side with your arm tucked under the pillow. Now, I know what you're thinking, but doc, that's the only way I fall asleep. Believe me, I get it. That position feels like a warm hug from your own bed. I used to sleep like that myself when I was younger. But here's the thing, it comes with hidden risks. Let's simplify the science. Imagine a garden hose lying on the ground. Water flows freely until someone steps on it. That's basically what happens when you put your whole head and pillow weight on your arm and neck. The hose, in this case, is your carotid artery, the main blood highway that carries oxygen up to your brain. When it gets compressed, less blood gets through. Add in the pressure on the nerves of your arm, and you've got a recipe for numb fingers, tingling hands, and sometimes reduced blood supply to the brain. Ever wake up with your arm completely dead, like it belongs to someone else? That's not just funny. It's supportive pillow. A good pillow is like a good friend. It keeps you in check. Choose one that supports your head without making you bury your arm underneath. Listen to the signals. If you regularly wake up with headaches, numb arms, or a stiff neck, don't ignore it. That's your body waving a red flag. And let's add some humor, because health advice goes down easier with a smile. I like to tell my patients, your arm isn't a memory foam pillow. Stop using it like one. Or, if you wake up every morning slapping your arm to wake it up, maybe it's time for a new sleeping strategy. The takeaway is simple. Sleeping should recharge your body, not cut off its power supply. By shifting just a little, choosing the right pillow, adjusting your position, you keep your blood and nerves flowing smoothly. That means fewer morning headaches, better brain health, and yes, you get to keep both arms fully functional when you wake up. So tonight, when you curl into bed, ask yourself, is my pillow resting on cotton, or am I crushing my poor artery? Your future self will thank you for making the smarter choice. Let's talk about a bedtime habit I know some of you secretly love, pulling the blanket over your head like a cozy little burrito. Yeah, I see you. And let's be honest, we've all done this at some point, especially on cold nights or when we just don't want to deal with the world. But here's the catch. When you cover your head completely, you're basically creating a DIY oxygen shortage. Think of it like sitting in a car with the windows rolled up while the engine's off. The air just gets stale. Scientifically speaking, what happens is simple. The oxygen level under the blanket goes down, while carbon dioxide, the stuff you exhale, goes up. Your blood ends up a little thicker, kind of like pancake syrup compared to water. And guess what? Thick blood doesn't flow so smoothly through your brain's tiny pipes. That means less oxygen for your brain cells while you sleep. Not exactly the beauty rest we're going for, right? So here's what I want you to do tonight. When you crawl into bed, go ahead and snuggle under the blanket, but leave your head out. Trust me, your brain will thank you. If you like the feeling of being cocooned, try a weighted blanket instead. It gives you that safe, tucked-in vibe without suffocating your poor neurons. Habit. Falling asleep in your recliner. Sounds comfy, right? You've got the TV on, you're halfway through a Netflix episode, and boom, you wake up 3 hours later with a stiff neck and drool on your shirt. We've all been there. Here's the issue. When you sleep sitting in that position, gravity is not your friend. Blood tends to pool in your legs instead of flowing smoothly back to your heart. Think of it like traffic at rush hour. Cars pile up at the exit ramp and nothing's moving. That traffic jam in your veins can lead to blood clots, what doctors call deep vein thrombosis. And trust me, that's not the kind of souvenir you want from your favorite chair. So here's my coaching tip. If you love your recliner, fine. Use it for a power nap, not an overnight sleep. Set a timer, grab 20 to 30 minutes max, and then move to your bed. Beds were invented for a reason, folks. If you absolutely must sleep in the recliner, maybe after surgery, make sure to move your legs and do ankle circles every so often. It keeps the blood flowing like stirring your coffee so the sugar doesn't just sink to the bottom. And let's be real. Waking up in a recliner with your legs numb is not a sign of deep rest. It's your body yelling, "Hey, I'm not a statue." So give your veins a break and keep the long nights where they belong, in bed, not in the living room. Let's talk about another sneaky habit that messes with your brain while you sleep. Cranking the AC way down and sleeping without proper neck support. I know, it feels cozy at first, like you're in a hotel room where you can burrito yourself in blankets. But trust me, your blood vessels don't find it that fun. Here's a quick story. One of my patients, Mr. Johnson, a retired truck driver, came to see me complaining about waking up dizzy every morning. At first, he thought it was just old age. But when I asked about his sleep habits, he told me he always set his bedroom like an icebox. Seriously, you could store meat in there, and slept with 2 pillows stacked funny under his neck. After some tests, we realized the cold air was triggering his blood vessels to tighten, while the poor neck angle was slowing down blood flow to his brain. No wonder he felt like the room was spinning every morning. Science simplified. Think of your neck. I'm not saying you need one of those $200 space pillows, but at least find one that keeps your head aligned with your spine. Imagine your neck is like a delicate bridge. If it's bent all night, don't be surprised if the traffic gets blocked. And hey, let's be honest. We've all woken up with that awkward crook in the neck after falling asleep on the wrong pillow. You walk around all day looking like a confused flamingo. Not fun. Fixing this isn't about luxury. It's about keeping blood flowing to the very thing that makes you, your brain. Bottom line, don't let your bedroom turn into the North Pole, and don't let your neck do yoga while you're asleep. A little adjustment tonight could mean clearer mornings, sharper memory, and a healthier brain for years to come. So now you know, don't let your bedroom turn into the North Pole, and don't let your neck do yoga all night. But here's the thing, even if you fix the room temperature and get the perfect pillow, there's another sneaky habit that can still trip you up. And honestly, this one is even more common. It has to do with how you position your body itself when you sleep. Let's dive into that next. All right, let's talk about a habit that almost everyone over 60 has complained about at some point. Tossing and turning all night. You know the drill. You close your eyes at 10 p.m. and suddenly it's 2 a.m., and you've already flipped more times than a pancake at IHOP. Here's a quick story. Mrs. Parker, one of my patients in her late 60s, came to see me because she felt exhausted every morning. "Doc," she said, "I swear I slept 8 hours, but my body feels like I've run a marathon." When we did a sleep study, the monitors showed she changed positions more than 40 times a night. Her brain never got a steady rhythm of blood flow, and that constant stop and go was leaving her tired, foggy, and at higher risk for those tiny clots we call microthrombi. Now let's break down the science, simply. Think of your brain like a city that needs a steady supply of food trucks. If those trucks keep getting stuck in traffic jams or rerouted every few minutes, the city never gets enough food at the right time. Tossing and turning is like creating little traffic jams in your blood flow all night long. Your brain hates it. So, coaching time. What can you do? First, create a sleep system. And let's be honest, we've all had that night where you toss so much, the sheets look like you wrestled a bear. Funny, yes, but the problem isn't just the sheets. It's that your brain isn't getting the smooth blood flow it needs to recharge. Bottom line, if you're tossing and turning every night, don't brush it off as just aging. It's a sign your body is struggling. Small adjustments, better sleep hygiene, a supportive mattress, and calming the mind can mean the difference between waking up groggy and waking up sharp, steady, and ready to enjoy your day. Now let's talk about something we all hate to admit, skipping our meds. Be honest. Have you ever looked at that little pill at night and thought, I'll be fine without it? Well, spoiler alert, your blood vessels don't agree. Here's the deal. Those heart and blood pressure meds aren't just random vitamins. Think of them like the security guard for your arteries. If you send the guard home early, bam! Your blood pressure spikes in the early morning hours, right when strokes love to strike. It's like leaving your front door unlocked in a rough neighborhood. So here's what I want you to do. Keep your evening meds somewhere you can't ignore them. Beside your toothbrush, on your nightstand, even a sticky note on the TV remote if you must. No excuses. If your doctor prescribed it at night, your job is simple. Take it at night. I'll never forget a patient named John, retired firefighter, tough guy, never liked depending on pills. He skipped his blood pressure meds more often than he admitted. One morning, his wife found him struggling to speak, mini stroke. The good news? He recovered. The bad news? He told me later, "Doc, if only I had just taken the darn pill." That stuck with me. So please, don't play roulette with your arteries. A tiny pill can prevent a massive problem. Speaking of things that seem small but carry a big punch, let's look at another bedtime habit that quietly messes with your brain's health. All right, now let's talk about the classic face-down sleeper. You know who you are, the ones who treat the pillow like it owes you money. Let's be honest, we've all crashed on our stomach at some point, arms spread out like a starfish. Here's the problem. When you sleep face down, your neck can adapt. And I'll tell you a quick patient story. A young guy in his 40s, healthy, fit, marathon runner, but he loved sleeping face down, like a human pancake. He came to me complaining of constant morning headaches and occasional dizziness. Once he adjusted his sleep position, boom, symptoms almost disappeared. He joked with me later. "Doc, turns out I was choking myself every night." So, stomach sleeping might feel cozy, but your brain is paying the rent. Let's not strangle our circulation while we snooze, all right? Now, speaking of positions, let's slide into the next habit that also messes with your nighttime health. Okay, let's talk about one of the sneakiest habits: sleeping flat on your back without a pillow. Sounds harmless, right? I mean, it even looks peaceful, like you're auditioning for a mattress commercial. But here's the catch: it's not as innocent as it seems. Think about it. When you lie flat without any head support, blood has a harder time draining out of your brain. Imagine pouring water out of a bowl that's sitting perfectly level. It just sits there. Same thing with your veins. Blood tends to pool, and that can increase the risk of tiny clots forming. Not exactly the midnight snack you were hoping for, huh? Now, let's be honest. We've all done this at some point. Maybe after a long day you just flop down, no pillow, arms spread like you're in a crime scene outline. Feels good for a few minutes, but your brain is quietly filing a complaint. Here's what I recommend. Don't ditch the pillow altogether. Use one that's not too thick, not too flat. Think of it like the Goldilocks rule. You want just enough lift so your head is slightly elevated, letting gravity do the work to help your blood flow out of the brain smoothly. If you've got acid reflux, this trick actually helps with that too. Two birds, one pillow. I once had a patient who proudly told me, "Doc, I don't need a pillow. I sleep like a soldier." And I told him, "Yeah, but even soldiers get medical leave when their circulation is bad." He laughed, but when he finally tried sleeping with a proper pillow, his morning headaches and stiff neck started to fade. So, the bottom line? Keep your brain happy. Give it a little elevation. Don't turn your bed into a flat runway. Brain are not sending you thank you notes in the morning. Here's why. When your pillow is too high, your neck is bent forward all night, almost like you're scrolling on your phone in bed, but for 7 hours straight. That bend puts pressure on the arteries that feed your brain and also strains your cervical spine. Think of it like bending a straw. You can still sip your drink, but the flow slows down and the straw gets weaker. Now, coaching time. What you want is alignment. Your head, neck, and spine should be like one smooth highway, not a roller coaster track. So, ditch the giant pillow mountain. Go for a medium pillow that keeps your head just slightly elevated, not craned forward like you're peeking over the fence at your neighbor's barbecue. I had a patient who loved sleeping on 3 stacked pillows, said it made him feel like royalty. The problem? He woke up with neck pain and foggy mornings. Once he switched to a single supportive pillow, he told me, "Doc, I feel like I've fired the pain in my neck, literally and figuratively." So, don't let a lofty pillow cut off your brain's supply line. Keep it simple, keep it balanced, and your mornings will thank you. And speaking of balance, pillow height isn't the only thing that can mess with your circulation. Some sleeping positions don't just tilt the neck, they twist the arteries like a pretzel. Let's take a look at that next. Okay, confession time. How many of you sleep in a room that feels more like a sealed Tupperware box than a bedroom? Don't worry, I'm not here to judge. I've done it too. You close the windows because of noise. You shut the door because you want privacy. And suddenly, congratulations, you've built yourself a little oxygen prison. Here's the science, but let me keep it simple. When your room isn't ventilated, the air gets heavy with carbon dioxide, the same stuff you breathe out. Imagine you're at a crowded party where nobody ever leaves the room and everyone keeps exhaling. Yeah, not exactly the kind of air you want your brain to breathe all night. Your brain is like a car engine. It runs best on premium fuel, which is oxygen. Feed it too much CO2 and not enough O2, and it sputters, gets sluggish, and over time, it increases your risk for stroke. So, what's the coaching tip here? Crack that window open, even just a little. This one's about what your neck is doing while you snooze. Now let's talk about a habit I know a lot of us are guilty of: staying up way too late. Be honest, who hasn't stayed glued to their phone at 1 or 2 a.m., promising themselves, just one more cat video? Sounds familiar, right? The problem is, your brain doesn't think it's cute at all. Science is pretty clear. Sleeping less than 5 hours a night can double your risk of stroke and dementia. In simple terms, your brain is like a smartphone. If you keep using it without charging, the battery swells, degrades, and eventually shuts down. Same deal here. When your brain doesn't get enough rest, blood vessels and nerve cells wear out faster. So here's what you can do. Set a consistent bedtime and treat it like an appointment with your doctor. No one can function well if they only charge their brain for 5 hours a night. And if you think catching up on weekends fixes it, sorry, the brain doesn't come with an overdraft protection feature like your bank account. And there you have it. We've walked through these sneaky little habits that might feel harmless, but are quietly wrecking your brain health. Sleeping the wrong way doesn't just leave you groggy the next morning. It sets the stage for strokes and those, "Where did I put my keys again?" moments. The good news? A few simple changes tonight can help you sleep better, protect your brain, and wake up each morning fully recharged. Let's take a moment to pull everything together. Tonight we've talked about those little bedtime habits that seem harmless, like sleeping without a pillow, curling up face down, or staying up past midnight scrolling through your phone. But as you've seen, those choices add up. They strain your blood vessels, starve your brain of oxygen, and quietly raise your risk of stroke and memory decline. Now, here's the truth I want you to remember. It's never too late to start taking care of your brain and your health. Your body is incredibly resilient. Even small changes tonight can create big results tomorrow. Think of it like planting a tree. You don't get shade instantly, but every day it grows stronger, and one day you'll be so glad you started. So what's your first step? Maybe it's setting a bedtime alarm. Maybe it's adjusting your pillow so your neck gets proper support. Or maybe it's as simple as cracking a window. If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button so we can keep learning and growing together, one healthy step at a time. Remember, health isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And progress starts tonight with you.